It's Not Another Buffalo Podcast, hosted by three of the most underqualified sports personalities this side of the canal. With John.
There's no way in hell that I can leave that in, right?
You don't think so?
Well, to quote Rage Against the Machine, what better place than here? And, what better time than now?
And Brando.
We have this trust built on, whatever it is, like Bibles and gold bricks and whatever Brandon Bean's drinking over there.
All right, welcome back to Not Another Buffalo Podcast. I'm John. That's Brando. You can find us on all platforms at Not Buff Podcast. Minicamp wrapped up. We got a great show for you guys today. I've got a top 10. We've got segments galore. We're prepped today, so that might be different. Might feel different, but
organization.
I know, right? So it's so good. Before we get into this stuff, this episode is brought to you guys by Small City Realty. If you're looking to buy, sell, or manage property in Western New York, our guy, Zach Korzelius, 585-409-1088, or shoot him an email at Zachary@smallcityrealestate.com. If you're looking to buy, sell, or manage property in Western New York, get a realtor you can trust, and that's Zach Korzelius. Also, if you need insurance or an insurance agent you can trust, the Jkorz Agency in Batavia, New York is your go-to solution for that. So, Brando, Minicamp wrapped up. James Cook was there.
Yes, he was.
We all kind of knew he was going to be there, or thought he was going to be. I don't know. That Adam Schefter tweet just seemed like BS from the beginning. Like maybe he was just talking to Cook's agent and, they were threatening the works or something like that. But
I don't know. My students and I were talking about this, and they want to put James Cook on a pedestal for this. And I'm like, it's kind of been his fault for why we think what we think. Adam Schefter doesn't just pull it out of the air. He doesn't just conjure the idea up.
Right. But I think I was thinking about this the other day. I think we overestimate how much he's played it up or how much of a stink he has put up because of a couple cryptic tweets. And then like what his brother has tweeted, all that stuff. Because he's showed up. Yeah. He hasn't held out of anything yet. Yeah. He hasn't threatened to hold out of anything yet. And
well, he has not. I don't know. I don't enjoy. You don't have to tweet anything. You have an agent. You pay him 7% of your salary for this exact reason. And if you want to go through the proper channels and you want to tell Brandon Bean you want a new contract, it doesn't have to be a public thing. I don't understand it. I don't know why that's so complicated in this day and age.
But it's common because it's leverage. It's all leverage. I get it. I know the Bills want to do deals behind closed doors. They don't want to air their dirty laundry in public. I get it. But I don't know. James Cook, he's a running back. He has so much value to this team. And I get that the position is the position. And in the modern NFL, it's pretty easy to replace guys at that position, unfortunately, for their value, except for like the very, very top 1% of that position, the Saquon Barkley's, the Derrick Henrys. But I think James Cook proved why he was valuable. And yeah, I know they can't just sign him off for $15 million this year. I hope, if I were the Bills, I would sign this deal next year too, because it's like James Cook is a smaller guy. There's always the risk of injury. You hate to say it. He's been, for the most part, healthy so far in his career, very much so, even more so than most running backs, especially for his size and stature. He's not a Derrick Henry or anything like that. So you think that hopefully that's a good trend and not just something that's going to revert at some point or his luck is going to run up in that department. But yeah, if you're the Bills, the safe play is wait till the end of the year and then decide then. Make it like a Tremaine Edmonds thing. You're like, we can give you this amount. Yeah. You could get more on the open market. That's just how it is. But we're going to be able to give you this amount, whether that's 9, 10, 11 a year or whatever it ends up being. 7. Could be. But, and then feel free to test the market elsewhere. So I think he plays this year. I don't think he's going to hold out of anything because I don't think he has a crazy amount of leverage in this situation. He's not a Terry McLaurin. He's not a Trey Hendrickson. He just doesn't play the most premier positions in the NFL, which is unfortunate. I think we're shifting there. Running backs had a great year this past year, but yeah. So anyway, that's my thoughts on the James Cook situation. That's not even our main topic of today, but I just feel like that's kind of circulating around.
I will say I appreciate his candidness when he's like, I like my money. That's why I'm here. And the amount of money and fines that he could accrue seems kind of absorbent. Like it's a crazy amount of money. Was it like it's almost 20 grand after the first one? That's like 50, then 100. It goes up really fast. And I think at minicamp's like 8 days, 2.5 hour practices over 8 days, and you get 5 more weeks off. Is it
Right.
worth $1 million of unpaid PTO?
I think it'd be like 100,000 ish.
But each day it goes up each day. So it rolls. So it's like, 20 grand the first day, 50. So now you're at 70, how it compounds or whatever. So I think anybody in any job that has PTO or sick days, I'm not paying 20 grand to take a day off. Doesn't matter what I'm doing. So I don't know. But I like what he said. And I also like that he said to win a Super Bowl, I have to be out here with my guys. So think of this as...
That clip got less attention, unfortunately. That part of the clip when he said that afterwards, because that's the answer that everyone wants to hear.
Yeah.
But you're right. He did say that. So
and I like
that. He's not a super outspoken guy anyway. So I wouldn't even expect him to do the whole like sports talk or sports speak team mentality thing. Which
we might find out that he is more outspoken. I mean, Delvin got there. I don't want to judge siblings like that. I don't like doing that with myself and my twin. So it's, we'll see. I'm hesitant. I'm glad he's back. I think he adds to this offense. I hope that they can play him more. And if they don't play him more, then consider this a job interview for 31 other teams. That's all. And that's what he's doing. Showing up, being a professional to minicamp, bringing the best that he can be. And not for nothing, there's no safe jobs in the NFL. If Ray Davis or Ty Johnson are just lights out during training camp and the preseason, then there's the solution right there. So
I like our three-headed monster as it is and their skill sets and stuff like that. So I like how it's working out. Other housekeeping stuff. Maxwell Hairston tweaked his hammy today, but he should be all good to go for training camp. So that's good. He's going to need the reps in training
5 weeks
for sure.
For a hammy,
5 or 6 weeks away. Yeah.
It's a good number. I learned this when I pulled my hammy last year for the first time in my 30 years on this earth, that it's quite painful to re-aggravate it if you don't wait long enough. So I waited like 3.5 weeks. Boom, maybe like 20 minutes in. Oh, there it goes. Then it was another 6.5 weeks after that. So it ended up being like a 9-week thing only because I went back too soon. So give him 5 weeks. The guy's a burner on the field, so he needs to have his hamstrings working. So give him some time. He'll be back.
Yeah. Also, Spaceballs 2 was announced. I don't know if you saw this.
I did not see this.
Which kind of begs the question, are we going to get Spaceballs 2 before we get the Sabres in the playoffs? It's quite possible. Yeah. Coming 2027. So the race is on, Sabres. You've got 2 years. Yeah. You got 2 years to make the playoffs before Spaceballs 2.
Would you bet on it? Sabres make the playoffs in 2 years? I think I would.
I would too, but I don't really trust my optimism at this point. So.
So it's a
surely they're not going to make it to 17 like the Bills did, right? Right. Anyway, all right. So we were talking about James Cook. I was going to save my top 10 for later in the episode, like we usually do, but it is about James Cook, so I feel like we should just roll it off here. I'll read him on my, actually I got him on my lower screen here. I don't know if I should read him off.
Mr. Monitor over there.
Yeah, dual screen monitor. We got too much stuff to look at here. It's all very stimulating. I get tired very easily. Anyway, so James Cook obviously showed up to minicamp. We all know the reason that he gave outwardly, which was, I like my money. But I thought I could uncover maybe some more reasons or some more between the lines reasons why James Cook showed up to minicamp. So this is John's top 10 today. The top 10 reasons James Cook showed up to minicamp. Probably. All right. Number 10, golf trip was going to cost too much with Southwest's new check bag policy.
I'll refer you for the credit card.
Nice. Number 9, thought it was mandatory summer camp. Number 8, hashtag expose Adam Schefter. Number 7, the fines are equivalent to the modern NFL running back salary.
You know how much James Cook is making in his contract right now, total over 4 years?
It's like $9 million or something like that, right? I think it's
less than that. Yeah, I thought it was
8 or 9 million.
7. Yeah,
is this
crazy
contract? Yeah,
crazy.
Number 6, got to see Josh's wedding photos. Number 5, James Cook inspirational quote of the week was participate. Number 4, Tyler Bass's mom brought cookies after practice. Number 3, his flight to Aruba on Spirit Airlines was diverted to Buffalo and thought, what the hell?
I'm here. Might as well. Wedding robe.
Number 2, last chance for a cameo in the Bills Hallmark movie, which wrapped filming recently, I believe.
Yep.
And the number 1 reason that James Cook showed up to minicamp, probably Stefan's boat was full. So can't get, sorry, no more spots. No more spots. No more pink powder for anybody. So
you see his comments after that?
I didn't.
He just said nothing about it. Just he's like, people that know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, okay, Steph, you're not a rookie with this.
Plead the fifth.
Yeah. There's amendments for everybody.
Yeah. So main topic today, which Bills player has the greatest gap between their ceiling and floor? So I thought this was a good prompt because this is kind of a boomer bust. Anyway, I talked to Brandon. We were each going to pick. I feel like we both thought of the same guy, and I called dibs. So that's
I'm a huge fan of the gentleman that you're going to be talking about. I think he's going to be a good player for us. But I will let you carry on with this. And I got somebody
off-season free agent crush of the year. Basically, is how I describe this person. But
we go year to year. Yeah.
Exactly. Of this year. Yeah. But anyway, this is the player who has maybe the highest ceiling and the lowest floor, the greatest variance in between what they could be and like in a good way and what they might be in a bad way. So obviously there are players with huge ceilings, but also high floors. So we're not talking about those players. These are high variance players that we're not sure, like, are they going to go off this year? Are they going to have the best year of their career? Or are they just another Curtis Samuel this year, basically at the beginning of last year? So anyway, my pick for this is Elijah Moore. Wasn't really excited about it as much as I am now when the signing happened, which, you know, is maybe us drinking the Kool-Aid a little bit and that kind of ramping up. But I think it's time to get hyped about Elijah Moore. The more I hear about him in Minicamp, we've heard some good things coming out of Minicamp. The more I've seen, he's the classic. It's so trite, but he's the classic good player in bad situations kind of thing, or at least
not even bad. He would have loved to have been in a bad situation. He's in a garbage pit of negativity and death.
Yeah, Browns, 2 years of Jets, 2 years of Browns. Was only drafted in 2021, which is pretty recent.
Yeah.
Kind of the Keon Coleman position. I think he was 34th overall. But yeah, I think he's the poster boy for untapped potential. I got this tweet from Alex Brasky that I want to share, that Alex Brasky of the Batavia Daily News was at Mandatory Minicamp. He's a good follow, at Alex Brasky. He says, wide receiver Elijah Moore is as fluid of a route runner as I've seen walk through the doors at One Bills Drive the past several seasons.
For sure.
High praise. Yeah. I get it's Minicamp. No pads. You know, take it as you want.
Yeah.
Turbulence throughout his career, but it seems as if Moore may have found his happy place in Buffalo. He has been a top target for seemingly every Bills QB this spring and summer. He will be one of the most highly discussed players to come to training camp next month. # Bills Mafia. I love that. I will eat that up all day. That is why I still participate in this app that we had to rename that I'm still calling Twitter. So like, I love it. I'm on the Elijah Moore hype train. I think the ceiling for him, again, you might not call this as big of a ceiling because I don't want to go crazy on it, but I think the realistic ceiling for Elijah Moore is 70 receptions, 750 yards, and 7 touchdowns. Right around that area. The board.
Yep.
That's pretty much Gabe Davis production-ish.
Yeah.
From these past Bills offenses, and I think that would be in a room that has more mouths to feed than it did when Gabe Davis was around. I think that would be outstanding production. Now, on the flip side of that, I think his floor is worse than the version of Curtis Samuel that we experienced this past year.
Definitely.
So, you know, like just disappearing, not present, 0 reception games, not playing a lot, not getting any of the jet sweeps. By the way, Elijah Moore had his career high. I think he has 8 rushes in a season once, so he can be used in that capacity a little bit. Fast dude.
It's about what Samuel got last year.
Right. Yeah, about that.
I really like that. And you talk about his ceiling. I think if you really want to talk about his ceiling, as a route runner with these crisp breaks inside, outside, making these corners and safeties look silly, I think you're talking like the last season of Steph Diggs here. You know, barely over 1,000 yards. Really had this hot start, right? And then he kind of tailed off at the end. But I think that's Allen's kind of guy. He likes those guys. He wants to throw to guys that are open, as any quarterback in the world would. And if Elijah can get open, he's going to get the ball. So
I was going to say, I think in that vein too, you might not get Diggs production out of Elijah Moore, but if you add together the production of Josh Palmer and Elijah Moore, I think that's kind of what you'd like to get out of it at the end. So maybe those two combined for 1,200 yards. That's really, that's a high number for those two. But
that would be cool to get 1,200 yards from both those two guys. I mean,
I'd be fine. Especially if you're still getting the jumps from Keon and Dalton Kincaid, which in an ideal world, if you're Brandon Beane, you kind of want those two to work out the most because they're your draft picks. And I get, Josh Palmer and Elijah Moore will look like genius free agent signings also, which you can also take credit for. So maybe he doesn't care who gets the ball out of those few people, but good news injury wise too. He has played all 17 games the past 2 seasons, stayed healthy. But yeah, I think his ceiling is higher than Josh Palmer, but his floor is also lower than Josh Palmer.
Yeah.
And his floor is lower than Keon Coleman and Dalton Kincaid, I believe also. So
it's a good way.
Super high variance player, but I'm excited because we're optimists around here. So, and that's what you got to do in the offseason. Like the Bills off seasons aren't necessarily that interesting. And I think it's great because if you have if you have a tumultuous regular season and you're like trying to find the quarterback of the future, it's like, of course, your offseason conversations are great. It's like when you have a 3-way battle for quarterback and Rex Ryan is your coach, you got plenty of crap to talk about. But
the days. Yes.
Yeah, I like these relaxed off seasons where we can just kind of vamp about stuff. But
you look all over the NFL and it's the Giants. What are they doing? Or the Dolphins? Are they going to implode? Or the Patriots with this off the field stuff? So you never know what it could be. And this is what they talked about on WGR today. This 5-week window here. It's walking on eggshells because you don't want to get that call that says, so-and-so did something stupid, right? It's like this is the free time.
You don't want any breaking news in the next 5 weeks.
No, stay quiet, stay calm, stay cool. Be good, do good. God bless. Go.
Right. Yeah, everyone get that bumper sticker going. We don't want any breaking news unless it's the Bills signing Terry McLaurin or something like that. Or Trey Hendrickson. Yeah.
That'd be cool too.
Anyway, last thing I have for you is a little tidbit. I was just checking over Elijah's Wikipedia page and I thought this was interesting. Elijah Moore went to college at Ole Miss. All right, this is the interesting part. As a sophomore, he led the Rebels with 67 receptions, 850 yards, and 6 touchdown catches. In the 2019 Egg Bowl against Mississippi State, Moore drew a 15-yard unsportsmanlike conduct penalty for pretending to be a dog urinating in the end zone following the touchdown.
I remember that.
As a result, the extra point attempt went from being a 20-yard attempt to a 35-yard attempt, which was missed, and Ole Miss lost 21-20.
Legacy right there.
This is the kicker. The loss led Ole Miss to fire head coach Matt Luke. So I know there's at least one person out there who doesn't like Elijah Moore, but I'm still pumped. I just thought that was an interesting. I apologize. Elijah Moore is like, get that one moment in his history. Is like, I just want to forget it. Don't ever bring that up. And so sorry. I found
maybe he's like, my coach was a jerk. I didn't like him anyways. It's fine.
Might be. I don't know. Yeah.
I like that player. I told you that already. I kind of hemmed and hawed on this. I wanted to do Keon Coleman, but I didn't want to do another wide receiver. So I went to the other side of the ball, and it might not be some young guy, but it's going to be our free agent signing of Joey Bosa. I think Joey Bosa,
that's a good thought.
3rd overall pick, double-digit sacks in 3 of his first 5 seasons, has just kind of fallen off a cliff in the last few years. I mean, he hasn't had double-digit sacks since 2021, hasn't played a full season in a couple of years now, and the Bills only had 39 sacks last year as a team. The cold front had like 60 almost. That's a big difference. It's almost 1.5 more per game. So whether he gets 7, 5, 10, 12, just give me 4 of them in December and January and February. So, but I think having that money on that contract, who's the guy that we had 10 sacks, went to 49ers, didn't re-sign him. Can't remember his name. Floyd. If Joey Bosa could be
Leonard Floyd.
Yeah. If Joey Bosa could be like Leonard Floyd, that's perfect. But Leonard Floyd, I think, over-exceeded his expectations, which is what we need from a guy like Joey Bosa. But I'm anxious to see how he goes. He's already hurt. If his ceiling is a top 10 pass rusher, which I still don't really think it is, I think you could get to Joey Bosa at his best is a top 20 pass rusher. No offense to him. I've never been a huge fan of his game. I think his brother is massively better than he is. No offense, Bosa Burrows. But, if his ceiling can get you 10 sacks and his floor gets you 5 games and a half a sack, then that's a lot of money that was wasted. And that money could have gone other places. And if we can't get to the quarterback, which we can't get to Mahomes in the playoffs anyways, Like I've always said, let's put that 12 million on the wide receivers. Let's put that 12 million on offense in any way, shape, or form. I don't care what you have to do, or you put that 12 million and you trade for TJ Watt, whatever you need to do. Trey Hendrickson, give me a game-changing player that we're not hoping can get better. I have said it 1,000 times. I don't trust hope. We don't trust hope. This is not a new hope. All right, it's not Star Wars. Give me results. Don't let me hope that he will be better. Don't let me hope that we have a wide receiver 2 replacement, whatever. But at his ceiling, he's going to fit perfectly with Greg Rousseau. He's going to fit good with AJ Epinesa, Michael Hoyt, this D-line at Oliver. It's going to be interesting. It's kind of like the wide receiver room. They can eat by committee and they can filter out when they get tired. None of them are going to have to play 60% of the snaps. But I think him reaching his ceiling is getting a sack in the AFC Championship game that forces a punt. Well, we don't even have to win. Force a punt. We don't do that too often in those games. So give me a punt from Joey Bosa, and that signing's a successful signing.
Yeah, just a clutch guy who has his best in the playoffs, I think is what you'd hope out of someone like that. Like, I don't even need to see, like, again, that's why the suspensions of Michael Hoyt and the other guy, I don't know if it was Ogunjobi or whatever his name was, it doesn't bother me that much, because it's like, the more that your season ends in the same way, it becomes all about that game and less about the beginning, 16 games of the season. Like, you got a pretty good chance of winning your division, hosting a playoff game. And that's kind of your starting point. That should be like kind of the floor of what you're looking at. And you're like, well, worst case scenario, it's a wild card and you're already playing on that weekend anyway. Yeah. You're just playing an away game. So it's like, in that sense, the regular season has almost, I mean, you got to do your job. You got to win games. You got to show up. I get it. But if they do what's expected of them or a little bit less, you know that the outcome is going to be the same. So it really becomes all about those playoff games and whether you can beat Kansas City or someone else can beat them for you in the wild card round, which hasn't been the case because they're usually getting the first round bye and then the worst team coming out of wild card weekend. So it's been a tough road, but that's why that 1 seed is important. So that's a reason to talk about it. But again, like I said, Joey Bosa just show up in December, January, and February. That's all we need from him. Yep. And honestly, like, that's why I don't want too much pressure to be on the rookies early on, or even like the second year players like Cole Bishop, who I think is another good choice. Max Hairston, Cole Bishop, those guys are good choices for this high ceiling, low floor. They lack experience, but they have really good traits too. So, and Sean McDermott, the safety whisperer, hopefully he helps Cole Bishop, grow into that role. But I think there's a lot of good candidates for this across the board. Yes. But
I do disagree with you saying you don't want any pressure on these guys. Like this teapot is buzzing right now, man.
I'm not saying don't put pressure on them. I'm just saying like if they struggle early, I'm not going to freak out. You know what I mean?
Supplement them.
That's what I meant. Like if they struggle early, if they have a tough game, it's fine. It's like, get ready for the playoffs. It's all about that end of the season run.
And the good coaches in the world, if McDermott feels pressure, he really shouldn't put it on his players, because he would know that might stunt their development a little bit. They might try to be somebody that they're not. They might try to do something that they're not within their game. And the thing about this Bills defense over the last 8 years, we've seen spectacular play from the safeties, from the corners, from the linebackers, not really from the D-line, but they have just played. It's simple. It's simple. Keep it simple. Ball in front of you. Don't let anybody burn you over the top. Tip the balls. Try to get some picks. Like, it's not these Troy Polamalu hurdling the line, scooping the ball out. It's not Myles Garrett bull rushing 2 defenders to get to the quarterback. It's not these Ravens defenses. It's this simple, smart game, getting your players to buy into that. And nobody needs to be Troy Polamalu or Ray Lewis, whatever, on the defensive side of the ball. So it's good for the development of the young guys. We've seen it over and over again. And that goes to say with Cole Bishop, he does have big shoes to fill, or with Maxwell Harrington on the cornerback role, but they're supplemented. But yeah, no, I like your point with that. It makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. And honestly, like, the other thing is too, is I think this is a whole nother topic for another episode, but I think that what we've seen, and I think it was something that Sal Capaccio mentioned when he was on the show, he was like, this defense might be shifting a little bit towards the more aggressive, exotic side than the bread and butter kind of, sit back defense, because it's a team of playmakers. And I think they need to move the needle a little bit. They don't want to just be status quo, let you drive down the field, because it hasn't worked in the playoffs. They don't have that extra thing that's like make a play right now. Like what Kansas City did to Josh, where it's like 4th down. If you send the house and he's got to chuck up a ball, it's like you don't have the ability to do that. Like you just don't do that. You sit back and play it safe, and you're just biding your time. And someone like Mahomes is going to score on you almost every time if you play like that. So I think they're going to try to push the needle in that direction, which might be tough with all the young guys. But you're also getting, some more dynamic players on that defense.
Yes.
That it's not just like it's not just experience now. It's youth. You got to capture that. You got to do
athleticism.
Athleticism. Yeah,
all that good stuff.
Yeah. All right. So let's wrap it up there. We got a lot of content out of that first little bit that we were doing. We have another segment to do, but I'm going to be unavailable next week for an episode. So we're going to hop off. We're going to record a little bit more for you guys and then release that next week as an episode. So there's not too much of a gap in the next 2 weeks for you. So anyway, you can find us on all platforms at Not Buff Podcast. Again, shoot us an email, text, anything like that. We'll be back next week virtually. And until then, go Bills.
Do good. Be good. God bless. Go Bills.